All right, you're welcome back. It's the Morning Spring. And the conversation right now, it's about the agreement that was done between the organized labor, the TUC and the NLC leadership, and of course, the federal government. The proposal, final, so to speak, proposal that was made, 70,000 naira to be the new minimum wage, an upward review from the 30,000 naira thereabout, being currently received by the least paid person in the civil service. We have the number one labor man, NLC chair, Nigerian Labour Congress chair for Osun State, Comrade Chris Arapasopo. He joins us live in the studio. Comrade, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And the leadership of the NLC, the TUC agreed, and I want to believe maybe with the support of the state comrades as well, 70,000 naira. Initially, it was 615, the first proposal. The first proposal of the federal government was 30,000 naira. So back and forth, finally, months after, agreed at 70,000 naira. What we want to say, is it worth the hassle? Does the leadership of the NLC have the support of statesmen like yours, state chairmen like yours, to arrive at that party, or it was just what you could agree to? Or were the hands of NLC and the TUC tied to have agreed on that 70,000 naira? Because we learned at the time you were like 250,000 naira or nothing. So how come you arrive at 70,000 naira?
Well, thank you. Let me say what happened.
Yes.
Was a collective bargaining with Labour and the president. And before we could arrive at 70,000 naira, many things happened. You recollect that 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting with Mr. President and the organized labor, and we had our next meeting to, take some decisions. And thereafter, though it was inconclusive due to some reasons, that we should give him 1 hour for labor to discuss, we now said no. Give us a week. We'll go back home and discuss. Because Mr. President was like, if you want 250, I'll give you 250. But labor, you have to allow me to increase the fuel pump price. And that was why we said no. Let us go back to our, home as a department to discuss and see how we can resolve that.
So you're saying that the president was willing to pay 250,000 naira, but on the condition that the 750 naira fuel per liter that Nigerians are paying now will have to go higher.
You get it.
Amazing.
So we now said, as labor, it should not be a thing of winners take all, and it should not be a thing of workers alone. We're all Nigerians. So let's try and, look at those ones who cannot afford many things as far as the country is concerned presently. So we now resolve that, okay, even with the 70,000 naira, you put it on percentage, you will discover that we have 134 percent rather. So increase, you get it. Previous one. Of course. So, and for Mr. President to have, came out to say that, we discovered it is better for us to have that than to, have, if accepted at the end of the day, that he should pay 250,000 naira. And with the increment on the fuel price, you will discover that even the 250,000 naira will be meaningless at the end of the day. So with the 70,000 naira, there is an agreement between the organized labor and the federal government. Don't increase. In fact, when he brought that, we're like, Mr. President, you can't add or bring the issue of fuel into a minimum wage negotiation. They are separate issues and matters to be discussed. That of the fuel, we'll discuss it some other time, but that of the increment of wage should be a different thing, and that was what we had. Thereafter, we were able to achieve this kind of 5 years minimum wage review. We were able to achieve 3 years. Though as Labour, we came with 2 years, but Mr. President was like, no, I can't do more than 3 years. And from our calculation, we'll be having another negotiation before Mr. Governor leaves office. So,
what one might want to say, isn't it naive? But then I'm not sure naive is the word to use for somebody of the experience and stature of a Joe Ajero and Mr. Sifo, yeah, to say, believe politicians as your peril. How come you feel 3 years is okay to have a upward review? And don't you see that proposal by Mr. President to say, if I'm going to pay you guys 250,000 naira, then you must allow me to do what I want with the fuel price? Isn't that a blackmail to force your hands and you played along?
Honestly speaking,
because the issue of fuel wasn't part of the negotiation, had been issue.
Exactly.
Seriously speaking,
you are blackmailing to do that.
We can never be intimidated by nobody, even Mr. President.
Mr. President is not a nobody. It's the president.
The truth is, we are Nigerians. We are human beings. Let's assume at the end of the day we are able to get the 200 or 250,000, and at the end of the day, the issue of fuel come up again. It will be war, crisis upon crisis.
Please, what I'm saying is this: some will see it as a blackmail. That fair conversation wasn't in the picture. Of course. And you stood your ground to say it's 250. And the president said, if I'm going to pay this, then you should allow me to increase the pump price. And you succumbed because he talked about that. Wouldn't you see that as a blackmail? Or Labour, there's some person that feel Labour knew what it was doing all along. You are just playing to the gallery.
Let me give you this.
Yeah.
I don't think it is too much for Labour to have agreed on 70,000 naira. And like I said earlier, we'll be having another negotiation in the next 3 years instead of 5 years. I think
I know, also. Before Evelyn comes in, when you came with the idea of the 615 and previous negotiation, you came to that table with how you arrived at that point.
Of course.
Rent, this particular percentage, transportation, this 70,000 naira, was there anything like that? Did you agree?
Yeah.
Was it worked out? Because we are not hearing that.
The 70,000 naira I want to give it to you is for level 1, step 1. That is the minimum.
But the 615 wasn't out for level 1, step 1.
And you said?
The 615
breakdown, of course.
Yeah.
And with some denomination and allowances, don't be surprised at the end of the day, the level 1, step 1 we are talking about will be having not less than 100 plus.
By your calculation?
Yes.
Who pays that?
How?
The government will have to do that.
How?
We have it.
Okay, you are saying there might be another arrangement beyond the 70,000 naira?
Yes.
For the least paid person?
I am telling you that.
Maybe because of time, we might have to get that next
why
time.
I'm saying this is that there is usual table, salary scale table. That is where you have all these things.
All right.
All right, so, Comrade, I'd like to ask you, when Mr. President spoke about or went into the fuel subsidy prices and all of that, why didn't Labour fight for a reduction, a reduced reduction of the fuel prices? He brought it into the into the negotiation. Now, if he's saying that he would have to increase it, it means that people have actually also said it that fuel is being subsidized at this time. So if he says that he's going to pay 250,000 but have to increase the pump price of fuel, it means that fuel has been subsidized at this time. Did you ask Mr. President if fuel has been subsidized at this time?
Well, honestly speaking, we wouldn't have, play into that gallery or play into that what Mr. President came up with.
Yeah.
Because, like I said earlier, the issue of fuel was never part of the negotiation. And that was why we decided to skip that for another day. Facing that of the minimum
But you
wage
just
alone.
mentioned that you succumbed because of that condition the president put.
Even without,
it means the fuel price issue is part of the part of the negotiation.
He brought that, but we told him to drop it, to drop that subject, because if we, try to play along with him, at the end of the day, we may got caught.
So 70,000 Naira.
Yeah.
You said it's about 120% increase. 134% increase. Yeah. Now, people would say that the prices of goods, the prices of fuel, the Naira to dollar increase went to like 200, 300% increase. So why not fashion your price you're putting on the table with that particular figure, percentage, 200%, 300% increment?
Honestly speaking, we had this, little discussion with Mr. President that it would be better for us to even focus on food items, where you have lower price as far as the food items are concerned. Then you discover that this hardship will be very, very reduced. And for you to have items in the market and you're unable to have that fund to buy it or get them, then you won't be able to get it.
So will food prices reduce? Did the president say food prices would reduce?
Of course, because that of we told them to set up task force committee to look into this.
Did he agree?
And I believe they will do that.
You believe he will do that?
He should.
Sorry, comrade, I'm just getting the vibe that maybe you might just have been played by politicians. And, there are some accusations, maybe your leadership too, politics prone.
I want to say this. The issue of student loan was discussed. The issue of SANU and NASU was also discussed.
How about HASU?
They were also discussed, of which the agreement is Mr. President should do the needful so that those payments be paid. All right.
Quickly, you are the chairman for NLC in Osun State. Where do we go from here? Governor Ademola Adeleke is the governor. Has he agreed?
Like I used to say, I could recollect the last time I was here, you were like, why am I praising him, this and that?
Yeah.
And I said, I know he will never disappoint the masses who voted for him. And I have that strong belief that at least he spoke through his Honorable Commissioner for Information. And I believe he's going to do that. And this is Osun, like you said earlier. And I want to tell my people to expect the best. We are going to give it, and we'll dig it.
The 70,000 Naira.
Yep.
You are saying Governor Adeleke is going to agree to the 70,000 Naira. Have you spoken to him since that agreement?
What the last negotiation agreement was towards the end of last week, and this is another week. But from our end, like I told some of our people, we are not going to rush. We want to look at what some of our neighboring states are going to have, like Lagos and Oyo, Ogun State, so that all we are after is just to give our people the best.
Sorry, if you are not going to rush, people's expenses are rushing. It's not waiting.
Exactly.
The money is finishing in a jiffy.
No, I get
and you are saying you are not going to rush.
That does not mean...
You might choose not to rush because you're a big man, so to speak.
No.
But then some of your workers, they can't wait.
You don't get it.
The bills are piling.
That does not mean we are not working.
Okay.
Seriously speaking, we are working.
So what are you doing?
We are going to, communicate with the state governments, right? Do them a letter to, constitute a committee of the labor and the government side so that we'll see where we move from there.
Well, you're sure that Governor Ademola Adeleke is going to pay the 70,000 naira?
If he doesn't? If he doesn't?
You say?
If he doesn't pay?
I am sure he
Because you say you are waiting for feelers from different states. Why?
I am sure he will pay.
Why wait for other states? Why not just work with what you have?
We are doing that.
We are not you are not appendages of the other states.
Using that word of we are not going to rush does not mean we are not going to start doing something. No. Like I said, as organized labor, we will write a letter to the state government to to have a committee, that of the labor and that of the government side, so that from there, you can't finish a negotiation in a day.
All right. One last question before we let you go, comrade. Okay. A lot of people have lost trust in the NLC. They believe the NLC now is an appendage of the government, and especially this last negotiation actually cemented their insinuations or rumors to say, see, the NLC is not for the people, but then is just like an instrument of the government. What do you say to those people to, you know, bring back the trust that they have lost in NLC?
Well, I want to say, as far as negotiation is concerned, it should not be a thing of winners take all, like I started earlier. It should be a collective bargaining, where you come to the table with facts and figures, where you try to, you know, you have to shift ground, while the other side will also have to shift ground, and that was what happened. But as far as we are concerned in Osun, we want to tell our people we will not disappoint them.
In a minute, allow me squeeze in this because we are, you know, totally out of time. Do you speak for the workers in the private sector?
Yeah, as far as Osun is concerned.
How do you push for them? For workers in the private sector, because you can easily have conversations with government, but how do you enforce the payment of these agreements, 70,000 naira, to be the least payment that will be made to people working in organized private sector? And if you do that, how will you control the outcome? Because that means somebody must pay. The consumer must pay.
Of course.
And so the inflation we are trying to avoid will be staring at us in the face. How do we weather that?
Don't forget, let me say 90% of them are also members of the NLC, of which we will meet and discuss. And at our last NEC meeting, we've resolved that all state government must pay. Failure to do that, they should be expecting us, our invitation.
I'm just talking about the organized private sector.
And for the private sector, they should pay, and I believe they should.
All right.
It's a must.
Thank you.
All right, we would like to thank you this morning for coming on our show, Comrade Chris Arapasopo, the #1 worker in Osun State. Thank you for your time and submissions this morning.
God bless you.
All right, so that's the first leg of the conversation. We'll take this break. When we return, we head on to the United States. We are hearing the big news of President Joe Biden stepping down and not going for the nomination of the Democrat, and he has endorsed as Vice President Kamala Harris to go for that nomination. We will come back with a resident over there and a journalist who will be speaking to these issues and letting us know what we have at hand. Do not go anywhere. Morning Spring will be right back.